Immediately put the screen down because somebody's texting me and I'm trying to see what they're talking about. Which is why next time I'm gonna have to use my computer to do this live. Um, yeah. I do not have on any wig today, so you get my scarf fan ponytail because yeah, I'm trying to learn how to be like the natural girlies out here, and it does not work well for me. And I haven't found anybody out here to braid my hair, so that's where we are. Um, so today I am making Mongolian beef. See, now I got another text message. Hold on. Okay, yeah. Next time I'm gonna have to use my computer. 'Cause, this is not gonna work. Um, so anyway, like I was saying, so today I'm making Mongolian beef. Um, I'm trying to get this fruit snack open for KJ. This is not working at all for me. Um, 'Cause I got oil on my hands now. Okay, here you go. Um, so yeah, and then I found some chicken egg rolls. Usually I make my own, but I spent too much time on the game this weekend, so I was not going to be making my own egg rolls. So talking about this whole my first breakup thing. So in order to talk about my first breakup, obviously I would have to address my first relationship. Um, so the first relationship was a little bit, I would call this the real one because I was actually old enough to take things seriously, participate as a actual partner, and not just kind of like the little childhood stuff that we typically do. However, at the age that I was, which was 19, some people might consider that to still be kind of young, but I knew what I wanted and what I was doing, and that was the person I was with. So I started out, I met my kid's dad. So like I said, I have to give you backstory. I met him on this thing called the Party Line. I'm sure everybody's had some version of the Party Line. They know what it is, experienced it somehow or whatever. So that's where I met him, talking around on the room, whatever. End up exchanging numbers. The first day that we talked for like freaking 7 hours or some shit. And in between those little 7 hours in that conversation, um, we ended up exchanging phone numbers, and the conversation continued for about 2 weeks. And then I remember getting sick. It was summertime, which was really crazy. It was like May, but I remember getting sick and having a sore throat. And my kid's dad was like, "Well, okay, well, I want to meet you this week or whatever." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm getting sick." Um, but we were getting ready to meet up this particular day, and I told him everything that I had on. I was like, "Oh, I have on blue jeans and a white jabot shirt or whatever. I'm walking down the street." And he's like, "Okay, I'm walking down the street too." And we're like on the phone, and he's like, "Yo, for real? I'm not about to play this game with you." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Because it's a dude walking down the street, and he got on blue jeans and a white shirt, and your voice was just changing the other day and stuff." And I was like, "Oh my God, no, I'm behind him. I'm behind him." And that shit was like funny as hell because I was behind the dude, but I saw the dude that he was talking about. It was like, "No, I'm not a dude," whatever. So fast forward, the relationship was a lot of, what can you say, overwhelming feelings because it was the first one that I was old enough, so to speak, like I said, to experience everything. And we spent practically every day together. Um, I was with him at his mom's house, his family's house, spending the night with his siblings, like just everything with this man. So I did not know all the lies that were being told, but you know how when you're young and you're like infatuated with people and you're not paying attention to the stuff that the red flags that are pretty much obvious, right? So as I was sitting there going through this relationship with him, one of the first red flags was the fact that he had a child that was already 6 months old. And then he got another child that was a year old. Today, I hear some shit like that, I'm out the door. Back then, it was just like, oh, it's okay as long as he's being a good dad and, all of that stupid shit. So, whatever. Um, and he wasn't working because he was, little hustling here and there. And I guess you could say that I didn't really care too much because I've kind of always been the one to have my own money too. So I didn't necessarily need anything from him. But again, that should have been a red flag. Like, because he didn't have enough, you know what I'm saying, as a hustler to really, really be doing something. So fast forward, I start spending too much time with him. That's a red flag. You should never give up who you are, who you're connected with, family, friends, everything, to be in a relationship with somebody. But again, first relationship, didn't realize shit like that, didn't even pay attention to it. So he was slowly pulling me away from friends and family, and I wasn't picking up on this at all. So I ended up going off to school, um, and he pretty much followed me more or less to school. He would be there like every fucking weekend, staying days at a time, all types of shit. My roommate didn't care or whatever, but it was still just like, what? But in my mind, it was more of, oh my God, I have somebody there and he's giving me attention. He's with me all the time and blah, blah, blah. So again, stupid shit. Because just because somebody's sitting in your face does not mean they're not playing in your face at the same time. And besides that, if you sitting in my face all the time, when are you working? When are you getting money? When are you doing anything that you're supposed to be doing? The shit I see today that I did not see then. So, okay, sorry, I'm waiting on my stuff to get out of now. So, hi, hi. You are not getting another fruit snack. No, sir. No, 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 no. So, so yeah, fast forward. I ended up getting pregnant, and we hadn't even been together a full 6 months. So yeah, it was a lot of infatuation and stupid shit going on there. Um, no issues, I didn't get told, oh, don't keep the baby or don't do this or anything like that. He was with it. But the fact that you're with it and can't even provide or do anything is absolutely stupid. But needless to say, I kept going on with the story. I mean, with the life. So after having this child, he ends up going to jail. I'm not gonna put all of his business out, but yeah, he ends up going to jail. So he ends up getting arrested after us getting into it, me and his sister getting into it at her house over some pizza. Craziest shit in the world, I would not lie to you. I was pregnant, ordered some pizza, and I offered some to her and her kids, which I did not have to do, right? But I did because I was in her house anyway, like whatever. I wasn't raised like that. One, I'm not gonna ever eat around kids and not share with kids. That's just some rude ass shit. I don't give a fuck whose kids they are. So, like I said, so we were there and we get this whole argument. She actually gets upset because by the time I fed her, myself, no, by the time I fed myself, my boyfriend, and her kids, it was like end pieces left of the pizza. And so I was like, oh, well, here you go. Actually, did she want some? She sits up and looks at the pizza and goes, end pieces? No. So whatever. I'm just adding this story in because yeah, it's just some wild shit that should be told too, right? So the next morning, her and him get into it because she was talking shit on the phone to somebody and was like, yeah, and that light skinned bitch came in here talking about, do I want some end pieces of a fucking pizza? Well, I was the lightest person in the house, so we already knew who the fuck he was talking about anyway. And he goes in and says, well, she would have been able to offer you more if she didn't have to feed your fucking kids because you don't. Then they break out and they start fighting. Should have been another red flag because he physically put his hands on her, right? And if you'll do that to your sister, you do it to anybody. I didn't look at it like that. In that moment, it was like, oh, well, he defended me, so that's it. Yeah, okay. So he ends up going to jail because of that and some other stuff that happened during that time. Um, Fast forward, he gets out of jail. Okay, we end up having another child. Um, this one was a surprise one, but it happened. Uh, so anyway, after that, little things start to kind of come about that I hadn't really picked up on in the beginning. So it started to be now he needed more time to go co-parent with his other child to the point where he'd go, oh, well, I'm gonna meet her at my sister's house, and I'd be like, okay, cool. And he'd sit there, and 8 hours would go by, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm cooking dinner. When you coming home? Oh, well, it's too late to get on the train because we didn't have a car at the time. He's like, it's too late to get on the train, so I'm gonna just spend the night here. And I'm like, well, I'll send you a cab. Nah, don't worry about it. We don't need to spend all that money and da 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 shit like that. I'm like, what the fuck? Then you a call, and now you don't get no more answers and shit. Like, okay, so now you playing with me. Okay, cool. But again, young and dumb. I'm like, oh, well, he's at his sister's house, so it's okay, and blah blah blah. No, no, fucking no, right? So I find out because his baby mama reaches out to me herself and tells me about what's actually going on. So as I'm trying to talk to him about it, like, what is all this shit you lying about or whatever, come to find out, he went and got a tattoo of her name. They got matching fucking tattoos now. And I was just like, oh, okay. So what the fuck was going on here with me? And he's like, no, well, I just did that because I'm not trying to deal with her taking my son away from me and all of this. And she told me I had to prove to her that I love her and all this shit. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, for real? You really would think that I would believe some shit like that to the point of going to get tattoos and shit? So I come down to it like, well, fuck it. I'm going to leave. I get ready to leave. I start getting my ass beat. I mean, physically, for real, for real. And people like would still wonder to this day, like, well, why didn't you tell somebody? Why didn't you get help or whatever? Your daddy was a police officer. I was afraid to tell him. As was my mention in the beginning, he was pulling me away from everybody. I was constantly spending time with him. I wasn't with nobody else, so I was damaging those relationships. My male friends wasn't around, like nobody was around. And in his manipulating situation, he knew exactly what the fuck he was doing the whole fucking time. So like I said, so started getting my ass beat like regularly. I reached out to a few friends and told them what was going on, but I couldn't bring myself to leave. Now I can tell you now today, and I would tell anybody if you're going through that, you've been through that, get help. I don't care who you call, talk to a stranger. When you go to the doctor's office, they got the notes inside. If you don't feel safe, call somebody, say something. Do not allow that to happen to yourself. Do not be like I was. I was so worried about being a statistic. I didn't want to lose my family. I wanted to make it work, all this other stuff. I'm like, oh well, what if we go to therapy and what if we do this? And this was somebody who wasn't even trying to do that shit. Motherfucker wasn't even getting their own life together. So let alone if you're not getting your life together, what would you do if you didn't have a reason to get your life together on your own? Why would you get it together for me? So, whatever. I still stayed around a couple more times. Then the final situation that occurred, I was pregnant, like I was saying with the second child, and he tried to fault me because one of my male friends called me and he swore up and down I must have been fucking this male friend. But this is the type of shit that manipulators and people like him do. They play those types of games to make you feel like you're the problem or, you know, anything to not catch their ass up. That's the best way to fucking put it. So I I received a phone call, like I said, from my friend at the time, and he goes, "Who the fuck is this nigga calling me?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's just I don't know, Tory, fuck it, whatever." So he gets upset. He tries to snatch my phone and all types of shit from me. And I tell him, I'm not going to keep doing this shit with you. Like, I'm really going to fucking leave you this time or whatever. And so I started trying to gather shit up to go. And he grabs me as I'm trying to go down the stairs and punches me in my mouth and knocks my tooth out. And at that point, his daddy went after him. His sister called, because they were like in a duplex. So his daddy went after him, like, what the fuck is you doing? And his sister looked at me and she was like, baby daddy or not, the motherfucker will be dead or in jail fucking with me. And I still couldn't bring myself to that point to do either. I was just too stuck on wanting this family, wanting everything to work, believing in this fairy tale with this person and what this man was telling me because it sounded good. And it was just more of the family. Had I not had kids, I probably would have been able to pull away a lot quicker. But I was just really stuck on that. I want the family for my kids. So stuck that my mind couldn't even process the fact that in all actuality, this is not even the type of person that you should even want to have kids with, let alone even be around your fucking kids. But again, my mind wasn't doing that. So, um, So after that, when my cousins came to get me or whatever, make sure rest in peace. My cousin Tasha came and picked me up or whatever and was like, "You got to leave this alone. Like this is not good for you." I went through the hardest breakup with that because, well, I guess I won't call it the hardest one, but with it being the first one, the embarrassment, the depression, the the issues with self-esteem, um, because I was asked by somebody very close to me, how fucking low does your self esteem have to be for you to sit there and allow a motherfucker to hit on you? And even though it was harsh, it was truthful. And it really did make me have to ask myself that question for real. Like, nah, what the fuck are you thinking about? What is going through your head? Because this ain't cool. You talking about it's for the kids, but then I have to say to myself, like, well, if it's for your kids, what you gonna do when he beats your ass and you ain't there for your kids either? Then your kids got to be left with him. Like, is that some shit that you want? So that started to make me kind of wake up a little bit, like, yeah, nah. So I ended up not going back, but it was so hard getting constant emails because I had blocked him, constant calls from unknown numbers and stuff. It became very scary, very brutal to the point that one time I was on the bus just minding my business and I saw him and he hopped on the bus and saw me sitting there, mind you, pregnant as hell because we're getting closer to delivery now. And he saw my phone in my hand and he was like, "You won't answer the phone for me? Bitch, you won't talk to nobody." And snatched my phone up off my hand and ran off the bus. And so I ended up going down, to domestic courts and stuff like that because I'm like, at this point, I'm afraid for my life now. If I can't be outside commuting and anything else, mind you, I didn't have a car and all that stuff. I can't be, out here risking what your crazy ass may end up doing and shit like that. So the breakup became more so not just heartache, but fear. Now you putting my life and my kids' life in jeopardy. I'm having to call the daycare, letting them know, oh, he can't pick our child up anymore. Like, just so many different things that took place with that breakup. But I will definitely say the healing that came afterwards was one of the best things for me. It was hard though. I didn't do well with, okay, so attempting relationships without healing first was the problem because I couldn't communicate. If we had a disagreement or anything, I immediately shut down because I was afraid that you would prepare to abuse me or something like that. So after the healing, it helped me to learn how to better communicate with partners. It helped me to pick out a little bit more better red flags, especially when it comes to those narcissistic people or the ones who really do just have that manipulating mindset. Um, so, of course, there's more to that story, things that I left out. So, like I said, anybody who is going through any type of domestic violence situations, get help If you want to talk to me privately, you want to send me a message here, not here, this is YouTube, sorry, but you want to send me a message on Facebook, or you want to send me a message on Instagram or on TikTok, go ahead, do it, and you can discuss anything personal that you want to. If you want any more advice, feedback about it, go ahead and comment, inbox, and let me know if you want to hear the rest of the story, how we ultimately got away from it, what happened with life afterwards, the beautiful new beginnings, all those things. But thank you for showing up.